This fight, clash of elite experience versus rising power. On one side, you got Israel Adesanya, one of the greatest middleweights of all time and one of the most technical strikers in MMA history. On the other side, you got Joe Pyfer, a dangerous up-and-coming contender with serious knockout power and finishing ability. So stylistically, this is world-class kickboxing versus raw aggression and power. So let's break it down. Adesanya, former UFC middleweight champion, one of the most decorated strikers the sport has ever seen. His style is built around precision, control, and elite fight IQ. Now, there are several things we got to look at Izzy when it comes to his skill set. Number one, he has elite distance management. Adesanya might be the best distance manager in MMA. He controls range better than almost anyone. He fights long, uses feints constantly, punishes entries, he makes opponents miss, and then makes them pay. Now, of course, his recent fight against Adesanya Wins, one of the reasons he got caught was because he got comfortable and stopped keeping that range. And then he got caught by Imavov, okay? Fair fight, fair win to Imavov, not taking anything away from him. Izzy was winning that fight. Same thing with his fight against DDP. The momentum was shifting to Izzy and then he got caught, right? With a strong jab, knocked him down, and then DDP submitted him. But when Izzy is on point and doesn't get carried away with keeping that distance, he's a master at it, and it's hard to counter that. Another thing we got to talk about with Izzy is his counter striking mastery. Adesanya's biggest strength is his ability to counter. He reads opponents extremely well and capitalizes on mistakes. That's how he knocked out elite fighters like Alex Pereira, Robert Whittaker. He literally timed them. He's one of the best counter strikers, honestly. And I would say that's part of his weakness too, because that didn't play so well against Sean Strickland. Of course, that didn't play so well against Adesanya Wins. So when it comes to his counter striking, if he's facing someone who's also a good counter striker, it's a difficult stylistic matchup. Now, Izzy also has the championship experience. Adesanya has fought the best of the best for years. He's been in multiple 5-round title fights. He knows how to manage pace, pressure, and adversity. That experience is a huge advantage in this matchup. We're gonna go into their resume, but when you compare how long they've been fighting, the type of fighters they faced, bruh, Izzy's fight resume blows Joe Pyfer out the water. So of course we got to get into Izzy's recent one. Lost to Adesanya Wins, got knocked out in round 2. Lost to Dricus du Plessis, got submitted in round 4. Lost to Sean Strickland in a unanimous decision, and before that, that's when he had his 2 iconic fights and iconic knockout against Alex Pereira. His last 2 losses were both by a knockout and a submission. That's not good. That is the exact sign that someone is declining. Not in skill set, but he's getting old. He's getting old. He's past his prime, obviously. Probably the most active champion ever. Maybe aside from Marab. I always talk about how I miss Izzy, Usman, Volk. There was a time when they were all champions and they were all super active. Izzy has never said no to a fight. He's never ducked anybody. You've never heard any scandal about, oh my God, Israel Adesanya is avoiding this guy. In fact, his fight against Pereira, he didn't have to do that. He went out of his way to call Pereira out. That's what he did. So Izzy is someone who has never shied away from a fight. And that's why he's fighting someone like Joe Pyfer. He doesn't have to do this. He really doesn't. He can only have big fights, you know, whichever big fights are there in the middleweight division, or just retire. Honestly, I prefer to retire. But one thing about Izzy, man, he's a dog. He's not scared. And unfortunately, that has led to his losses, because I do believe one of the main reasons he started declining was his activity. When we look at Joe Pyfer, one of the most dangerous rising contenders in the middleweight division, he's built his reputation on finishing fights violently. Pyfer has serious knockout power. When he lands clean, opponents go down. He doesn't need volume, just one big shot. One big shot. Now, Pyfer fights aggressively. He pressures forward and looks to end the fight early, and that style can be dangerous against slow starters. Now, Izzy is not a slow starter, but sometimes he can be. But Joe Pyfer is so aggressive, man, and I feel like sometimes that gets into the mind of his opponents for sure. While known for his striking, Pyfer also has grappling ability. He can mix things up if needed, which adds another layer to his game. When we get into the last fights, like I talk about, his last win was a submission. When you see these guys fight, you would say, yeah, if Pyfer wins, it's gonna be a knockout. If Magomedov wins, it's gonna be a submission, but it was literally the other way around. And then before that, he beat Kelvin Gastelum in a unanimous decision, and then he knocked out Barriot's KO, and then he lost to Hermanson in a unanimous decision. To me, the most important things to look at here are his fight against Hermanson and Gastelum. He has submission, right? Of course he can do it, but the stars have to align, in my opinion. They do. We got to talk about their stylistic matchup. So when it comes to the striking, Adesanya is one of the most technical strikers ever, like I said. Pyfer is more explosive but less refined. I think Adesanya will most likely stay on the outside. He has to. Like, he's not going to be keeping a close distance with Pyfer. That is going to be stupid. So he's going to stay on the outside, use feints, try to pick Pyfer apart. That's what he's going to try to do. Pyfer, on the other hand, he's going to pressure forward, like I said, aggressively. Look for big shots. Try to close distance quickly. Those are the three things he's going to do. So this is pretty much experience versus power. This is a classic MMA dynamic. We've seen this several times. Adesanya has the experience and technical advantage. Pyfer has the power and aggression. And the main question is, can Pyfer land before Adesanya takes control? Adesanya is excellent at adjusting mid-fight. Pyfer is still developing in this area. There's still a lot to be seen from him when it comes to his decision making. Now, the path to victory for Izzy, he needs to keep Pyfer at range with kicks and jabs constantly. Don't get comfortable like he eventually did with DDP. Don't get comfortable like he eventually did with Imavov. He needs to keep that distance. Izzy needs to use feints, draw out Pyfer's attacks and counter, and he needs to extend the fight. He needs to stink up the fight, man. I hate to say that, but he needs to make it a boring fight. The longer the fight goes, the more it favors Adesanya. If he executes this, he could win by a decision or possibly a late TKO. Pyfer, I think, will get tired as the fight keeps going, although we haven't seen him go into a lot of decisions, and we haven't seen him in a lot of 5-round fights. And that is one advantage that Izzy has for sure. Now, the path to victory for Joe Pyfer, the path is more narrow. Even though the biggest thing going for him is his power versus Izzy's chin, Pyfer will need to pressure early. He cannot give Adesanya time to settle in at all. Cannot let Adesanya get comfortable, get in his flow, start feeling himself. He cannot let that happen. He needs to cut off the cage. Adesanya is dangerous when he has space. He would need to keep cutting off that cage, cutting up that distance, and then of course he needs to land the power shots. Pyfer needs to make this a fight, not a technical match. Okay, Izzy is gonna try to be technical and outpoint him. Pyfer needs to make this a dog nasty fight, right? He needs to land clean early and end the fight as early as possible. The biggest factor in this fight is timing, man. Adesanya thrives on timing and precision, but Pyfer's explosiveness could disrupt that rhythm. Now, looking at this matchup, Adesanya has several advantages: the experience, the technique, the fight IQ, and the distance control. Pyfer has the advantage of raw power. That's all he has. Pyfer is not a better striker. He's not a better fighter. He doesn't have more experience. Izzy has had way more 5-round fights, way more main events. The only thing Pyfer has is power and his aggression. So, over time, Adesanya's skill set should take over. If we're being objective, I think Israel Adesanya wins this fight, man. this is actually not even a biased pick. It's really not. Like, hear me out. Hear me out. Who's a better striker? Israel Adesanya. Who has a better range? Israel Adesanya. Better reach. 80 inches for Izzy, 75 for Joe Pyfer, 44 in leg reach, 41 for Pyfer. Pyfer is not even a kicker. Yes, Pyfer submitted Magomedov, but Izzy is not Magomedov. Izzy actually has good takedown defense. And I don't think Pyfer is going to be trying to do all that, honestly speaking. I think Pyfer wants to knock Izzy out and make a statement. And don't get me wrong, that is most likely what's going to happen. But I do think this is another Joaquin Buckley versus Kamaru Usman. People counting out the old guard. People saying Izzy's chin is gone, which is a fair thing to say. But if we're being really accurate, he only got knocked out by Mavov. Nobody else knocked him out. Nobody else knocked him out. Got submitted by DDP. Got knocked down and then submitted by DDP. Got knocked out by Mavov because he got caught. I think Izzy's going to try his best not to stay close to Joe Pyfer. I think he's going to drag the fight as long as possible. But man, once Pyfer lands clean, man, that shit is over. So he may be a little biased in the pick. All right. He may be. But I do think, objectively speaking, when you break down their skill sets, their experience, their fight style, everything goes to Izzy. The only thing Pyfer has is the power, the youth, the less wear and tear, and the hunger. Izzy is no longer looking to be champion. He's done. Just trying to, you know, chill and fight whoever he can fight. Pyfer wants to be champion. He's hungry. He's more aggressive. So he has that going for him. And honestly, he's most likely going to knock Izzy out. But I do think Izzy wins this fight, man. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you disagree with. I'm sure you guys would disagree a lot. But let me know what you think, man. All right. Don't forget to like this video if you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new.